This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have a full screen of people here with us, a full agenda. So we'll go ahead and get started. Today is August 12th, and this is our monthly Cup of Joe with Perigo. And we have a few guest speakers here. So as always, I'll go ahead and start off with the marketing report. Jill actually had to leave a little early, so I'm going to give the marketing report. So in the month of July, we had 3 sales. A couple of things that Jill's working on is the whole digital marketing piece. So there's a real focus on online reviews. So I know several of you have left us reviews online, either on our Facebook page, or if you just Google and find Sandhill Cove, you can also leave an online review in that way as well. There's a competition going on with all LCS communities. So we want to try and drive our online reviews. And so we're actually running that competition with our staff as well. And we've received several online reviews recently. So if you could help us out there, we would certainly appreciate that. A couple other things sales and marketing is working on. Jill is working with our professional referrals. So CPAs, attorneys, investment bankers, and she's doing a direct mailer out to those. She's mailing to 500 of professional referral sources to let them know that we are open for business. So she tells me that business is picking up. We're seeing more people calling in and setting appointments and so forth. In fact, she had a sale today. So we do have a couple of apartments that she's working on. I think there's actually 3 or 4 at this point that she's working on, but she always tells me not to stress over it. She's got it. She's been doing this. So I have to listen to her and follow her lead. So with that concludes the sales and marketing report. I just want to cue Phyllis up here. Each month we would do a resident spotlight, and kind of through the pandemic, we've pulled that back, but we have people into the community, and under normal circumstances, we would be highlighting them. And so we wanted to take the opportunity to highlight them and bring some sort of normalcy back to these monthly meetings. So Phyllis, I'm going to kick it over to you and the Demers. So welcome, Mrs. Demer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Sean said, this is a little bit of a different spin on Resident Spotlight. I normally read a bio and we show the picture in the monthly.
Phyllis, I don't know, but I can't really hear you. So I don't know if you need to get closer.
How about now?
Yep, I can hear you better now.
Okay, this is just a little bit of a different spin on the Resident Spotlight. I normally interview somebody, put the picture in the monthly newsletter, and we all know we don't have the monthly as of now, but we will hopefully get that back up and running shortly. My guest today, we met at a little meet and greet, is Bobby and Walter Demer. So just let them give you a little bit of an overview of who they are and their life here in Sandhill Cove.
Start? Okay, my name is Roberta Demer. My name is Bobby.
I think we're gonna have an audio issue. Is it just me, Meryl? Do you have problems?
Yeah, I do. I can hear you just fine, but I cannot hear her at all, really.
My name is Bobby Demer. Is that loud enough? No.
It's still,
Maybe turn your volume all the way up there.
yeah.
We want everyone to hear you, Miss Demer.
Yeah, right. You're on.
I'm on. Are you sure I'm on? Everybody shake your head. No, they're not shaking their heads. You hear me? You hear me?
Not really.
Not well.
Okay. You know what? Let's move. I'm gonna put you on hold, and we'll move down because I want to make sure that the volume that you're heard that everyone can hear you. So we'll put you on hold for now, and I'm gonna go into my community updates. So there are 3 things that I want to share with you for the community update. One is LCS is requesting that we disseminate a letter to all residents and owners and vendors. And essentially this letter talks about introducing the concept of an acknowledgement of COVID-19, the risks and claims. So what's occurring is, and it's not just in LCS, but it's across the board, across the United States, organizations, it doesn't matter if you're a senior living organization, if you're an apartment complex, or if you're a restaurant, but there have been more and more claims coming up for people who have contracted COVID-19. So what we're trying to do is protect you as individuals who live here from from claims. So insurance companies are saying that if there's not a liability waiver signed, then the risk for lawsuits to incur are greater. So this is something that we've been asked to disseminate, and this will be going out tonight. There's a letter from myself, and then there's an assumption and an acknowledgement of COVID-19 risk, waiver, and release of claims. And this really is to protect you and our community. Pay attention when you read it. It's basically just acknowledging that we have informed you of the risk of contracting COVID-19 within the community, and you voluntarily accept and assume this risk. You understand for the protection of others within the community, including residents, staff, and visitors, that we've implemented screening and isolation protocols. You've been informed of the protocols, have had an opportunity to ask questions, and agree to comply with the protocols. Furthermore, with this waiver, the angle that they're taking is that, you know, people are going off-site. And again, it's not just here at Sand Hill Cove. They're taking a more of a macro global approach. And you know, with people going off-site to the grocery store, doctor's appointments or whatever, there's that greater risk for contracting COVID-19. So this will help to protect our community. So this will be going out. I would just ask that once you sign it, if you have any questions, I've included my cell phone number, my office number, and then also my email. You can certainly email me, call me. I'll be more than happy to review this with you. It's just simply an acknowledgement, and it's a way that our insurance company has asked us to help protect you and the community from future claims. Okay, the second item that I need to talk about is LCS's Sales and Marketing Corporate Market Research Department. LCS has this awesome data research department, and Meryl has actually spoken to one of the ladies up there that helps gather data. And so Jana, a market data analyst director, she has been, since COVID-19, they're wanting to obtain additional information and insights from our residents. So she has put together she is putting together what we're calling a sounding board panel. And so she has extended this. She would like us to extend this offer to all residents at Sand Hill Cove. This offer has been made to, other LCS communities. In fact, we have 500. Can you mute the, I think Phyllis is,
Phyllis is be
Yeah.
muted.
yeah, thank you. So they put together the sounding board panel, and I lost my train of thought here. So there are 500 people that have residents that live in an LCS community that have already raised their hand and are already participating in this sounding board panel. So what will happen is you will get an email. If you have an email registered with us, you will get an email after this meeting, and it will be an email coming from myself, but the email is really going to be coming from Jana, who is the market research and analytics manager at LCS. It's going to be written from her, but it's going to be coming from my email to those individuals who have emails. And within that email, there are a couple of, there's a video to inform you about, what this is all about. And then there will be a survey for you to participate in and register. So this is such a great opportunity for our community to be heard and to contribute to what you as the current consumer wants. And there are going to be multiple other surveys that come out through this way. So again, if you have an email registered with us, Audra has put that group of emails together. After this meeting, you will receive an email coming from me, but written and authored by Jana, and it will be telling you step by step what to do. Again, please support it. It would be great to have you on this panel and have Sand Hill Cove represented. The third thing I want to talk to you about is the Sand Hill Cove Stronger. Together we are stronger. And let me get my card here. We have been meeting with our staff this week. And I've shared this with you before, but essentially it's a pledge. It's a community pledge card. And it's for employees, and then it's for our residents. And essentially, it's just recommitting during this trying and challenging time, both mentally, emotionally, and physically for all, just recommitting to Sand Hill Cove. So our employees have signed this. They then choose a hospitality promise that they want to champion, like greeting you with a warm smile, anticipating your needs, asking if there's anything else that we can do for you. And, as I was thinking about this, those hospitality promises can be applied to residents as well. Residents can live those hospitality promises out to each other and to employees. So I just think it's perfect way to bring our community together. So what this is going to look like is that you will receive this on Friday. And so we'll disseminate this on Friday. It's a pledge card. All you need to do is sign the bottom. You can cut the bottom off or bring it down, and we'll cut it off. Bring it down to Pam at the front desk. She'll cut it off. We will then give you a bracelet that says Sand Hill Cove, stay safe. So that's going to happen on Friday. And what we're going to do with your signature and date is we're going to make a paper chain of residents and employees' signature cards, and then we will display that in the community just to demonstrate our total community commitment to just get refocused, recommit, and moving to move forward. So with that, those are my 3 things that I wanted to address, and I'm just going to hit pause here. Are we? Did we get the sound set for Mrs. Demer?
Yeah,
Let's-
okay.
We did?
Can you hear us?
Barely.
Yeah, barely. So
Sean?
yeah,
Okay, if I speak up, would that do it or not?
if you get real close, it gets better.
Yeah, right. Diving
But-
through the screen.
Okay, are you
But
guys
maybe,
ready?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I guess they said I should do my background a little bit and a little bit about other things. So I'm an Ohioan, and I'm known in that state as Buckeye Bobby. Anyway, Ohio State. Then when I graduated, and I had one job. I've had a lot of weird jobs, including one where I was a consultant for the Bureau of Unemployment for parolees from the penitentiary. And then, let's see, what else did I do? This is a good one. I'm proud of this one. I was a national park ranger for Cape Cod National Seashore. And I taught at IRSC for a number of years. And we came to Florida in 1978, and there was a terrible blizzard. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a couple things. I then left Ohio State, Ohio, and went to Greenwich, Connecticut, and I taught there, which was just a wonderful school. Then decided I needed a master's, so I went to Boston, and I got my master's in Walter Demer. He's here with me now, but Boston. I went there because I went for a master's in science education and at Boston University, and then my husband and I met in Boston, and that's that. Till we go to Florida and all those good things. But I have a couple lovely things to say. We've only been here a few days. And already we had the lovely party that they had for the residents, which was so nice. We met lovely people and it was so much fun. We've only been here a few days, and then the next morning, somebody knocked on our door, and it was our neighbor across the hall, and they wanted us to come over for cocktails. So when you come to some place in 2 days, you have things like that going on. It sounds pretty darn good. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
And there's the master, Walter Demer.
That is the first. Nobody has been able to hear my wife in 10 years.
Oh.
At least. I mean, everybody hears her. I am Walter Demer. I used to be a stock market analyst, and at the end of 2016, I retired. So I have not the slightest idea what the thing is going to do or anything. I amuse myself on Twitter, putting out smart-ass comments and observations, because stocks like Amazon and Tesla are going crazy. I posted a chart of RCA back in the 1920s when it went from 10 to 100, but radio was the great growth thing, and then went right back to 10 again. And I said, is this the future of Amazon or Facebook? Stay tuned. And the other thing I do is post wise ass comments, like gold was down over $100 yesterday. So I sent out a tweet and I said, all that glitters is not gold. So if you have any questions about financial things, do not knock on my door, because I haven't the slightest idea. And I think Bobby said it best. Everybody is friendly. Everybody is professional. We were on a waiting list before this COVID thing started. We were at another senior living facility, which will not be named because I don't want to Addington things up. The information we got from these broadcasts every couple of weeks was sensational. And we would just, every couple times a week, and we were just amazed at the professionalism that was on display here. And we were changing it a bit because we were on the waiting list, and finally, the door finally opened, we escaped. And when I did, my friends on Twitter could take the hashtag Free Walter away. And somebody said, "Thank God you finally got out. We thought you were going to have to shoot your way out of there." So thank you very much for having us here, and God bless. And stay safe.
Wait a minute, he's shy about this because he's just not, that's truly sorry. So
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Dean. We appreciate.
1 second, ask him, Twitter account that he has on the stock market, ask him how many people are in there.
21,000 perverts, and the handle is Walter Demer. Thanks.
You have 21,000 followers
on his.
All right, great. Thank you. Phyllis, can you mute that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
That was great. That was our first time doing that, and I thought it was really, thank you, Phyllis. I thought it was really important that somehow we continue to feature our residents. So I think we have to work on the sound a little bit there and see how we can improve upon that. But as you can see, the Demers just have great spirits and are very grateful to be here at Sandhill Cove, and actually moved out of a senior community to come here. They had the opportunity to follow everything that we've been doing through our Odyssey, our resident online portal. And I don't know if you heard Walter say that or not, but that was one of the things that really moved them forward is that they were able to see all of the updates and really be a part of the community through the online portal. So thank you, Phyllis, for rising to the challenge. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna kick it over to Sam Topping to talk about R2D2.
Thank you. Before I get into our robot friends, just want to give a few project updates for the community and what's going on around the community. So as everybody knows, we've talked about the clubhouse generator, and that project is ongoing. The Arlington Electric is the contractor that's doing that work to repurpose the generator. So they've been here the last couple of weeks working on the infrastructure and getting that put in, and continue to work through that project. We have done some new landscaping in front of Villa 1320, 1310, and 1300. We're trying out a new type of sod called Pro Vista, which is supposed to be more tolerant, and it's more of a dwarf variety, because many of the people that live around the villas have probably seen where the grass dies out under the oak trees, and you get these sandy spots around the home. So this is our first real area to try out and see if we can eradicate that problem. And then, as you know, we have multiple refurbs going on in the community, and that is ongoing. And then I've been getting a lot of emails and having conversations about the different ponds and water features in the community, and we have a couple different scenarios going on. So what we've been trying to do this year is come up with a real long-term strategy to take care of our water features and our ponds around the community. So we've done some work on a few of them by Gardens North and Gardens South already, where we've pumped them out and cleaned the water features and refilled them with water and gone through the motors and the pumps to make sure they're working correctly. We do have an issue currently. If you're at the Gardens North circle, on the right side of the circle, there's a water feature that has an issue with the pump that we're working on. And then the main lake, there's some grasses that were growing up in the lake, and we've treated that, but it's continuing to be an issue. So actually on Friday, I've got a company coming out, Kerner Environmental, and they'll be taking out some of that grass that we've already treated that's just covering the surface of the water, so that we can do an additional treatment to what's underneath. And then The pond by the gate had an algae bloom, which has created a little bit of a mess on top of the water, and it's creates a smell when all that algae sitting there in the heat. So we're working through all these different issues this year with the water features and getting them cleaned out. So just be on the lookout. They are on our agenda. We are paying extra attention and creating a better maintenance program to take care of these lakes and water features around the community. So Sean had mentioned our R2D2 robots, and you may have seen them around the community. We use them in Waterside, we use them in the clubhouse, and we use them over in Water's Edge. So we've myself and Jim Colburn from Environmental Services have really been kickstarting that program with the robots. We launched them on July 30th, and to date, just with me and Jim running them and working through the bugs, we've cleaned 200,000 square feet of flooring so far. So nice thing about this is we get a dashboard. We can really see a live version of what's happening with these robots and where they're cleaning and their path and what type of errors they may be having and so on and so forth. So I'm looking to really make that number grow substantially over the next couple of weeks as we continue to train more staff how to deploy the robots and really up the level of cleaning we're doing in these areas, because not only are we doing more vacuuming, but we're doing more than we've been able to do historically with the aid of our robots. So so far so good. I haven't heard any negative feedback, but if you've seen any challenges or would like more information, just let me know and I'd be glad to talk to you.
Sam, can I just add in here two things I want to say. Number one is that Sam sits on a corporate committee where they're testing these types of things out and so forth, and so Sandhill Cove has been chosen as a Florida Center for Excellence. And so because of that, we have the opportunity to participate in these types of programs. And so I just want to reassure you that these robots, we are not expecting that these robots are going to reduce our, our workforce or our housekeepers or anything of that nature. Sam and I both agree that the robots are great and they do a lot of common spaces, and there's some opportunity to use them in other areas as well. Sam and I were talking this morning about even, maybe the robot scrubber that can clean the concrete walkway or the pool deck. So, there's just some really awesome things that we can do with these that we just don't have the human power to do. So this becomes a supplement to the human power that we have. So, but by no means are we looking to reduce our full-time employees or take away your housekeeper and use a robot as a substitute. And I don't know, Sam, last couple weeks ago, Sam brought up to me too, there's another opportunity for us to participate in, and it's a robot lawnmower. So I don't know, Sam, if you wanna kind of prime the pump with prime the well with anything on that as well, or.
So that program is with Husqvarna, who is really at the top of their game with the robot lawnmowers here. And so they've come out and they've done a site assessment of Sandhill Cove to see if it makes sense to use robots anywhere on the property. And of course, there's a lot of green space here at Sandhill Cove. And why that is interesting is because a robot doesn't cut grass the way a lawnmower does or somebody else does. When you're working on a conventional lawnmower, it comes in and it chops the grass off down low, maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches, depending on how much it grows. Whereas a robot will go in and it basically keeps the top 1/4 inch of the grass cut off with very fine blades. And then that grass becomes fertilizer for the lawn. So you should see flusher, greener lawns. And when you have grass like St. Augustine, Floritam that it has spreaders that go out and it roots out and it really gets healthy, This allows the grass to do that process. If you're cutting too much or you cut the grass too short, it hinders that process. The other thing these robots can do is weed control. It's not something that happens overnight, but over a period of seasons, using robots to help maintain your grass height, it knocks down those seed pods and you start to see die off from weeds. They just can't survive in it. They're not allowed to actually fully develop because these robots are cutting every single day. The beautiful part about them, you can't even hear them. You've heard the whiz vacuum, it's nothing like that. You hear the blade hitting a piece of grass is all you can hear with these. It's amazing. So if we can eliminate the sound in some of the residential areas of a loud lawnmower going through, I think that would be a wonderful thing. And if we can increase the health of our lawn and make it a greener, brighter community through the use of robots, I think it'll really help the overall appearance of Sand Hill Cove and cut back on some of the outsourced labor that we're using to cut these areas. It's like the vacuums, it's not 100%, this is going to take care of everything in an area. It's more of like an 80-20. So there's still a need to do other maintenance and trimming and stuff like that. But I think from a sound perspective and having a mower in the area every day, it makes a lot of sense. So there is going to be a demo out here. Husqvarna is going to be coming out tomorrow, and they're going to set up a demo behind Waterside in the large green space. They're going to have 2 mowers out here. So we'll really get the opportunity to check these things out and see how they do. Another neat thing that may help us in the long term is that they have all-wheel drive lawnmowers. And I thought, well, there's no way they're going to take care of this mowing around the main pond where the bank is real steep. And when they did the site assessment, they said, oh, this is no problem. Our mower can take care of this all day long. Well, that tells me I don't have to have grass clippings knocked into the water or the ponds all the time because of the mowers. They don't have an option and string trimmers down there. So, if we can find solutions for some of these problems through a robot help, I think, long term, we have a great opportunity here. So that's another one of the programs. An additional resource that we've already installed in the property is a device called the Water Gator. So the Water Gator is it's a compression zone for the main water line coming into the community. So when water comes into the community, there's air and water going through your meter. So you're getting billed for everything passing through that meter. It doesn't recognize air separate from water. This device creates a compression zone that pushes the air out behind the meter, so that what the meter is reading is actually water coming into the community, not all the air. So that was installed, and we should see a decrease in the water bill the next couple of months. It really takes a few months to see the results of it, but they're anticipating a 10% decrease in the cost of the bill. So
Awesome.
that's what I've got.
All right. Well, Sam, thank you very much. Awesome community updates and project updates. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. All right, so that completes the community portion of the meeting. Merrill, I'm going to kick it over to you for your communication exchange.
Okay, and then after that, Bob's going to chime in with some reporting on the first 6 months financials. And now the experiment in terror when I have to share my screen, folks.
At least I can hear you, Merrill.
Ta-da!
Wow.
Okay. Can you see that, baby?
Great.
Thank Audra. All right, I'm going to talk about the communication exchange program, which we ran for a period in 2019 and 2020. We've talked about it before. I presented the whole thing to begin with, but let me refresh everybody's memory a little bit about this. We held 4 different groups, totaling about 40 residents in these groups. And to that, I had already done about 30 one-on-one interviews with residents covering a lot of the same subject matter. So if you put those together and take out a little duplication here and there, we probably had somewhere between 60 and 63 or 4 residents in total participating in this exchange program. And that's when you think about it, it's 20 to 25% probably of our resident population. So it's not a little sample. It's not like 1 or 2 people came up with these things. So bear in mind, every single thing you're going to hear came out of the mouths of residents. This is the way they see the community. This is not me telling you what I think, it's them telling you what they think. It all took place before the pandemic, so there's no effect from the pandemic in here whatsoever. These are residents looking at and evaluating the community as it exists on a regular basis, not how it exists now with the pandemic. So let me take you through this. There were two big subjects we wanted to cover. One is, what makes Sand Hill Cove special? What are the features about this particular community that stand out and can be used to leverage our position in the marketplace? The second thing was, we didn't want to get into a complaint contest here, but we wanted to hear what people thought could be improved to make us even better than we are today. So we covered both of those subjects, and what I'm going to do, I've distilled it all down into a few charts, reporting on exactly what the residents feel on those two issues. So bear with me. Let's hope we go forward on this. And we don't. Uh-oh. Okay, hang up number one. Audra. Doesn't that go forward on this thing? That's the button she pushed. Maybe down here. Nope. All right, a little bit of a hang up, folks. Hang on, I'd tell you a joke if I had time. I thought it was this little button.
It is. It's just you've got to kind of click here first, probably. Now you should be.
Ah, okay. Thanks to Audra, what makes Sand Hill Cove special? One of the early things that comes up every time is people. That's what makes Sand Hill Cove special. And by people, it's universally true that everybody means both residents and employees. It's not residents alone or employees alone, it's the combination of the two, and that's very important to keep in mind. The residents they describe as being diverse, intelligent, friendly, well-educated, social, outgoing. Those were some of the more prominent adjectives that they used. Okay, so we're dealing with a diverse group of intelligent, friendly, and social outgoing people. For the employees, they're well-trained, they're attentive, they anticipate your needs, they're genuine, that's very important, patient and upbeat. And by genuine, I mean when they say something, they really mean it. I always love to say, when people say good morning here, they mean it. I lived in New York for most of my life. When people say good morning there, they don't mean it. You're lucky if they're even looking at you when they say that. They're probably looking at their feet. So it's very important to have people that are that friendly. Now, the important thing, again, I want to reinforce, it's residents and employees are the people. And this is a little bit of tangible and intangible things, because people obviously are very tangible, but this feeling that you have and the way people interact with each other is sort of an intangible thing that outsiders can't appreciate till they really get inside. So it becomes a little bit of a more difficult trick to transmit that to prospects and help them understand how valuable the residents and employees are to the operation here. So that's the first thing that makes us special. Number two, related to number one, culture and values. And this is where the employees and the residents come together very solidly. The first two things, caring and feels like family. Okay, the feeling is that residents and employees always look out for each other. And that's very important. That's a feeling of caring that doesn't exist anywhere easily. The staff treats you like you're the only one. Every member of the resident community feels like they're very special, because when they get waited on in the dining room or they interact with one of the employees on the campus, if they feel like they're the only person here, that there aren't 275 other people, that's the way the employees treat you. The second value that's very important here, the feeling, is security and safety. Partially in the physical aspects, the gates, the security staff, yes, but the emotional side, the feeling that someone always has your back here, is really the key to this whole thing. And that leads to a lot less stress for residents and frankly, for relatives of residents. I mean, I can tell you my daughter up in Maine is very happy that I'm here. but she thinks somebody always has my back and they're taking care of me. And thank God we got the old guy out of the house. That was really good. So these two things, the caring and the security aspects, which are shared by both the employees and the residents, is really kind of a core strength of, and it's what makes Sand Hill Cove tick to a large degree, to be frank. The third thing is a sense of being carefree and liberating. And that is the feeling that everything is taken care of for you. So you have more time to do what you want to do, not what you have to do. Now, we just heard from Sam about the lawn. Remember when you used to live somewhere else, you had to worry about the lawn guy. Well, now you got to worry about the lawn robot, but it's still the same idea. Now Sam worries about the lawn robot, okay? We don't have to worry about the lawn guy, the pool guy, the plumber, the electrician. We'll change your light bulbs for you. So everything is taken care of for you. That frees you up in a major way. So that's the other strong value that's at play here and is very important to our residents. How about on the tangible side of things? What makes Sand Hill Cove special? First of all, the location. And there are three aspects to this. First, the site. It's on the waterfront. It's attractive and distinctive. There's no other place probably like this, nor are there likely to be any other places like ours, because it's too costly to even think about purchasing property like this. So we must make sure in every case that we use the waterfront to our advantage in every possible way we can, because nobody else looks like this. The proximity. We have easy access to town. We have easy access to highways. You can get on the Turnpike or 95 to go almost any place with a hop, skip, and a jump from here, okay? We also have our friends nearby. An awful lot of people have moved here from nearby, and guess what? Their friends are still very close by. So friends can come here, or you can go visit your friends very easily. So the proximity of Sand Hill Cove makes us very special. And thirdly, the element of quiet. You go out to the hubbub of activity, whether it's in Palm City or Stewart or down to West Palm Beach. When you come back here and pass through the gates, what you experience is a feeling of suddenly the atmosphere has changed. Everything got quiet. It's like coming home to an oasis. You are home. You're in the place that you live. It's a very different place, and that makes us quite special. Offerings, another thing that makes us special. A lot of activities. There's a lot of choice of activities. There's something for almost everybody here, but importantly, there's no pressure to participate. I have a sister who lives in this wonderful spot up in Northwest Florida called the Villages, 110 or so thousand strong. And the place up there has a lot of activities, but boy, the pressure on people to participate, if you don't participate, you're sort of like left out. You're sort of an oddball if you don't participate in just about everything going. So we don't do that here, I think, and that's very important. The residents kick that in right away. Nobody feels any pressure to have to play, even though there's lots of choices. So that keeps people young. Health and wellness is related to this too. First of all, there's water's edge on site when you need it. So all stages are covered here. And the fact is, water's edge is right across the campus. It's not down the road by 2 or 3 miles like it is at Devonshire. So that's a huge advantage in terms of the things we offer here. The gym, interestingly enough, came up and they said the gym was good. May not be huge, but the gym is good because it helps people stay young. And so do exercise classes, and so does the pool. So even now with a gym, which is not that large, people think that's a very important asset and it helps make us special. The campus itself, the size, it is compact, it is manageable. You know more people here. If you had 1,000 people in our community here now, you'd probably know 20 or 25% of them at best. Here you probably feel like you know almost everybody because it's a very manageable size campus. At the same time, people do recognize that being a small campus can be seen as a disadvantage if it's not talked about properly or thought about properly. We don't have the advantage of expanding greatly. We can't put more buildings on the campus. There's no room. We can't build third stories on anything or even second stories on anything in some cases. So we have to be very judicious about how we plan to do things on this campus. Condition. Campus is well maintained. It's clean. It's beautifully landscaped. It doesn't show its age. and it plays well with your friends. When friends come by, they're sort of amazed. I had someone just this morning saying their friends stopped by and were so amazed. They said, I've never heard of this place. This is so fantastic. So the condition of the campus is another thing that's very important to our residents. And lastly, on the positive side of what makes us special, they cited the SHC management. They feel it's well managed and it's a visible presence. And I would say this, that we know that our executive director is very accessible. When he says you can call me or you can email me, he's not kidding. He's not going to ignore that. He's going to respond to it immediately. So, and that was reflected in the survey, which you remember we took in 2019, that confirmed the strength of management here. It went up by, I believe, 10 or 12 points from 2017 to 2019. So the SHC management is another thing that our residents feel makes us special. Now I'm going to turn to some things that people say we could improve to make us even better than we are today. First of all, communications. This is a big one. In terms of information, they feel that they would like more and they would like it more often. They want easier access to that. They want to make sure that everyone is reached in this case. And some people are not that conversant or facile with the technical stuff right now. So we have to keep everybody in mind when we're passing out information. Everybody needs to know what's going on. Okay. Excuse me. And they also think, and some of the presentations could be a little clearer. And here they picked a little bit on the News Weekly, which they say is wonderful because it's loaded with information, but sometimes they find it so loaded with information, it's hard to find what you're looking for and you miss something. So that is something we can take into account. The important thing was, and I just got a drop on my head, so we need to put a work order in, keep the residents up to date. That's the most important thing in this whole thing. Technical equipment and communications, they said. The Wi-Fi, the telephones, the television, the internet. There's a feeling that they are not optimal. And I think we know that because we've had that in our budget on occasion, and I think it'll probably be in the next year's budget to improve some of these things. Sometimes phones deaden. I've had many times trying to call my friend Bob Forbush on the phone. The next thing you know, one of us isn't on the phone anymore. You're talking to a hiss. And so those things need to be addressed. Rumor control. This is probably a wish as opposed to a reality. They want to try to get the real story out first rather than dispel rumors that get created out here. Now, this is a function that's fundamental to all communities, so you can't really control this too much, but maybe we can use communication sometimes to heighten the awareness of issues before they become rumors as opposed to the genuine issues that we want to talk about. That's communications. What else do we need to think about? Housekeeping. They would like enhanced cleaning, and that means better weekly cleaning and more than one annual cleaning. Not universally true, but true for the majority of people. Some people can get by with every other week of cleaning, but most people seem to think they'd like it weekly and done probably better or longer, and they'd like more than one annual cleaning. They talked about more efficient things. Sometimes they've seen the cleaning people, the housekeepers, moving from waterside to a villa and taking all that time of pushing that cart all the way over to the villa or all the way back from the villa. And maybe that could be handled a little more efficiently by the way their schedules run. And thirdly, tailoring the schedules, because some people really could live with every other week. Other people demand to get it weekly if they possibly can. And maybe schedules could be juggled using those two as alternatives for those people that want it one way or the other. Third, transportation. Even though we have a great system here with our valet service and everything, there was a feeling that they sometimes could use more buses to go to places like Publix or like CVS when we're allowed to do that again. And they'd like some upgraded models. Some of them seem to be getting a little long in the tooth and they're not maybe as efficient and modern as they'd like. Parking, big problem. Cars permanently left in spaces. They want to know, well, if it never leaves the space, then why does it have a space? And the use of guest spots, which has improved somewhat over time as we put some programs in place to affect that. But there's still people taking advantage of the guest spots to move closer to their dwelling. And then there's just a feeling of maybe we need more spaces overall in parking. Finally, in the area of transportation, abutments, and this is sort of a tricky one. They're generally cement colored or sort of gray, and they're very easy to miss. And if somebody's coming along and is not that steady on their feet to begin with, they could easily trip over one of those abutments. So the suggestion was, could we paint at least something on their stripes or something in places, not to turn it into a marquee or anything like that, but just to get a little color on there so they could not trip over them. We could avoid a lot of accidents that way. So that's another factor that we need to think about. New or enhanced facilities. Love this one. More comfortable movie showing venue. I've heard that idea frequently, as a matter of fact. And in fact, it even came up this morning in a meeting we were in, that people thought about, could we have a more comfortable viewing venue than we have currently? Fitness center. Our own people, our residents right now, this is not new people coming, our residents right now saying, maybe we need more equipment or more exercise space to go along with it. We know full well we're going to need more exercise space for the coming generation that's going to be coming to us next. But already the residents are thinking about having more. A larger card room was suggested. So maybe cards could be played in a different place, or maybe we could just find another way to play the card game. Who knows? Pickleball. I never thought I'd hear this one from our own current residents, but apparently they've heard enough from the nearby clubs and or the 55 plus communities, which all are promoting their pickleball courts, the number of pickleball courts. So they're questioning whether we need pickleball courts here. And last, really looking forward quite a bit, charging stations for electric cars, which would be a very interesting thing. We're probably going to have them over time, and maybe put them out there right now as something we could think about. And lastly, a few quick things. Maintenance. At that point in time, which the last session was held in January and the other ones were earlier in 2019, they felt there were some projects that did not seem to get finished, in walkways and the pool deck and some other things like that. And lately we know that some of the maintenance staff has been understaffed, and that's been hurting us a little bit, but it seems like Sam's got it all under control again now from what he was just talking about. So maybe that, plus the idea of more oversight and follow through, which was identified by the residents during these sessions, has already been pretty much addressed. Storm protection, big one, came up again this morning. Impact windows. People say this may be a price of entry item pretty soon. All the new places, albeit they are assisted living places, but nonetheless they are places for seniors to live, have got impact windows. Devonshire now has all impact windows thanks to their rebuild. And so we really have to think about this, because maybe even one window would help, but impact windows for daylight and maybe more generators for light at night during storms. So that's a big thing to really think about. And lastly, a couple of fairly small things, but practical, interesting things. Referral prizes for a good referral. We give out the famous basket now, which is full of lots of things. Nobody can probably eat them all anyway. And people wondered whether something like a gift card to a Publix or a CVS or someplace would be a more interesting gift in response to making a great referral. And lastly, one I think that is important, the new resident integration. What happens when a new resident comes in here is the marketing committee and the social committee kind of take over, okay? And they, for about a 2-week period, these people have, their dance card is so full, it's over the top. They get an invitation for dinner every night from somebody. And suddenly at the end of 2 weeks, guess what happens? The whole thing shuts down and they don't get any more calls. And suddenly they're on their own and they have to wander into the dining room and figure out what they're going to do for dinner. So I suggested, and I've already talked to both the social committee and the marketing committee and said, can we find a way to maybe string this out for maybe 3 weeks or even 4 weeks by staggering it a little bit more, so that the big rush doesn't happen and then stop, but rather you have a longer period of time to get accustomed to where everything is and what you're going to do and make more friends. So that's the end of our current information. I believe what we're going to be doing with this next, Sean would like this to be shared with the owner group and so forth, and the management at the meetings in a couple of weeks here. So they will have access to this, so that our resident comments and thoughts are going to all be put before LCS as well as Sand Hill Cove management, so that we'll be all brought up to date. We don't plan on stopping this. We are going to continue this, with more sessions after the pandemic subsides, and we'll change the subject matter. We won't just ask what's special anymore or just what needs to be improved. We'll address other issues. The other thing is I want to throw in a shout out for what Sean mentioned before, what they're doing from the market research department at LCS. I would encourage everybody to participate in that if you possibly can. That's information that it's really touching the pulse of all these communities on a regular basis and keeping us apprised of what's happening during a pandemic or maybe during time without a pandemic. And it is also possible, if we have enough people taking us up on playing this sounding board panel game, that if we have enough people here who do sign up, we might even get some insights into how our community, separate and apart from the rest of the communities, does and how our answers compare with everybody else's. We need a lot of people for that. We can't do it with 10 people. We're going to need like 80 or 100 people to sign up for that. But I encourage you to sign up. It's a great vehicle for keeping tabs on how our people are feeling and how residents in other LCS communities are feeling about issues on an ongoing basis. All right, that's my show for the day. I have Bob Forbush here who would like to talk about financials. Is that okay, Sean? Are we up next?
Sure, Meryl, let me just close out here by saying
Okay.
thank you for sharing this communication exchange. Very well done. I look forward to having you share this with our corporate partners and our leadership team. And then secondly, on the sounding board panel email that you are going to get, if you have your email registered with us, if you do have an email and you do not receive an email from us, do a couple things. One, check your trash or your junk mail. If it's not in there, call down, give us your email, and I will make sure that you receive the email. So if you want to participate in that and you do not receive an email, chances are that we did not have your email on file, but I would be more than happy to forward this to you. We just need to have your email, update our files with your email. So with that, thank you, Meryl. I'm going to kick it back over to you.
We'll kick it back to Bob.
Thank you, Meryl. Meryl asked if I would update everybody on our 6-month operating results. And as the chair of the Finance Committee, I'm happy to do that. As you all are more than very aware, this has been an unusual first half of the year. It's been unusual, and our financial results are no exception. However, they are, in my opinion anyway, surprisingly good given all the challenges that Sean and his team have been faced with. Overall, our net operating income, which is really our key measurement of success against our budget, is favorable. Net operating income is favorable to budget by $225,000. That is a substantial amount of money. And while that is good, it's a little bit misleading because we have received during the first 6 months about $250,000 of unbudgeted money from the federal government as part of its stimulus package due to the coronavirus pandemic. And without that windfall revenue, we would have been reporting a net operating income shortfall of just about $25,000. So very close to break even in the face of the pandemic and all the challenges that has given Sean and his team. It's pretty amazing that we've been able to do that well. We've had some revenue hits. Operating income is made up of really two basic parts: revenue that comes in and expense money that goes out. Our revenue has taken some hits. The health center occupancy rate is down from budget fairly substantially in that We budgeted for about 89% occupancy and we've had 78. So we're about 10% off that. We've lost revenue in the independent living area too. The lounge hasn't been open and we certainly budget for revenue coming from the sale of drinks around dinner time. We have lost some revenue from the rental of our guest rooms, and we've lost revenue from the sale of guest meals in the dining room. And all of those revenue hits total close to $200,000 when you add them all up. But the good news is that Sean and his team have been able to balance that shortfall in revenue with a reduction in spending. Their expense management has been really good. With the exception, and it's not their fault, of what's happening in the health center again, which is sort of a double whammy as far as that is concerned. The reason, a big reason, not the only, but a big reason why the revenue shortfall is taking place there is that the occupancy shortfall that I mentioned earlier is a function of our having to assign a handful of rooms to the COVID situation so that we could isolate COVID patients, if we had any, to a special area so that we could control the spread of the virus. So that revenue is down, but we need, because of the virus, we have, in a sense, double staffed a few areas, and that has increased our expense hits over in the health center. But in independent living, we've done a great job. Sean has done a great job. I haven't done a great job. The general and administrative expenses are substantially under budget. Food and beverage, because of the way it's been managed, and is significantly under budget, which is terrific under the circumstances. And I think the quality of the food service during this strange time has been remarkably good. Plant expenses have been under budget, and resident services, which is Phyllis's department, has also been under budget. The bottom line is that we are just about break even operationally through the first 6 months of the year. And the unexpected but very nice federal monies that we have received give us a cushion as we start the second half of the year, where we continue to expect reductions in revenue to happen until the coronavirus threat is basically relieved, probably with the development of a vaccine. I'll let Sean comment on that if he cares to, but it's going to be around, we would expect, at least through the end of the year. Hopefully we'll be able to maintain our expense control and have more or less of an offset there. Whether we do or not, it's going to require continuing really hard effort on the part of Sean and his team, but they've shown that they've been up to it for the first half, and we wish them well for the second half because it means a lot to everybody. That's really the update, Sean. Back to you.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, we have been working really, really hard this year to try and, with the revenue loss, it's certainly has hit us and has impacted us, and so we'll continue to stay focused, and any monies that we make and or any losses, they are born right here at the community. So it's in everyone's best interest for us as a community to manage these expenses and maximize our revenues where and how we can. So I appreciate that update, Bob. I'm going to close us out with some good news. speaking of money and closings, we do have 5 closings in the month of August, so that's awesome. And then secondly, come Monday, next Monday, we will resume our coffee and pastry in the lounge. So what that will look like is we will have an employee stationed in the lounge in the bar area, and they will be pouring your coffee. So if you come down and you want a cup of coffee, they will pour the coffee, they will prepare the coffee for you, and then they will provide you with the pastry that you identify. So we're very excited about that, being able to offer that. Of course, the lounge area will be set up in a way that it honors the social distancing. And I would just say that when you come down into that area, that you wear a mask and that you observe all of the recommendations by the CDC to minimize the spread of the coronavirus. So happy to do that. In addition to that, Phyllis will be sending some information out in the weekly about resuming additional small group activities. So what do I mean by that? I mean, shuffleboard and some of these other things. They have to be small group activities. The next thing we are going to be working on is the small group exercise classes. So hopefully there will be more to come on that shortly, but I wanted to give you that good news of the coffee and the coffee cake, the pastries. We'll resume that next Monday. We're going to resume the small group activities. Phyllis will provide you with some more information on that. And then the next step is to focus on the small group exercise classes. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention. We only went over by 7 minutes. We got a lot packed in here. So as always, I really, really appreciate your patience. This is no doubt one of the most difficult times in my career of doing this. And I know it's been very difficult for you as residents as well, with having to make adjustments to the adjustments. And so I appreciate that. And I would just encourage you to come down, do the pledge, join our employees in pledging to Sand Hill Cove, get a silicone bracelet, and join forces with us to just get recommitted to the community. So because together we are stronger. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you around campus. Bye for now.